on the pulpit. We must equally be interested in the vision, in the ambition, permit me, of the people we pastor. And we must ensure that under our care, they arrive at where God is taking them. You might see a little boy. I don't know, but I think I read a story somewhere. I don't know whether it was Billy Graham or one of those world-renowned preacher, that God opened his eyes to see his reward. And he saw that there was one unknown old woman in his assembly whose reward was greater than his own reward. And he said, Lord, how? This woman is here, is unknown. I preach all over the world. How can her reward be greater than mine? And the Lord said, since you were born, I showed to her what you will be. And I asked her to keep praying for you. Since that day, she had assumed that ministry of interceding for you. Everything you see happening in your life, it was because of her prayer. Yet unknown among men, so much known in the heavens. I don't know if I'm making sense to you. Now, it tells me that beyond feeding that servant of God, there was a burden in the heart of that woman that pregnancy that boy was carrying must be delivered. She prayed him through schools and prayed him into ministry and prayed him into ministry that was yielding results all over the world. And so as shepherds, as feeders of the flock of Christ, our business goes beyond preparing a very great sermon on Sunday. It is part of our responsibility to ensure that those the Lord has brought under us were born into their ministries and into the purposes of God for their lives. I don't know whether it was here yesterday night or in the morning or in the night. And I was talking about, I think it was the first night here on Sunday, that it's one thing for a woman to give birth to a child. It is another thing for that woman to give that child birth. Ọ̀tọ̀ kí obìnrin ó bímọ, ọ̀tọ̀ kí ó fún ọmọ ní ìbí, ó lè bímọ, kó má fún ọmọ ní ìbí. I don't know if that makes sense to you. All right? So I want to say to you that if we are going to be engaged in total service, we are going to engage our lives in it, I think we need to listen to the report that Jacob brought to Laban about his pastoral work under him. Now, I also want to look at that verse 38, and Jacob said, and the rams of thy flock have I not eaten. We talked about that yesterday, that he did not feast on the rams. He did not enjoy the ram. And one of our brothers here, one of the servants of God here said, there is nobody who wants to feast on any animal without first killing that animal. And we felt that it is possible as pastors to feast on the congregation. And there is no way you will feast on them without killing them first. Have you noticed that our brethren could not challenge? How do I put it now? When I say our brethren, I want to be careful about that. But have you ever seen where a pastor tells the congregation to go outside and be eating grass? Did you see that? Did you watch that video? You heard about it. I watched the video. Have you seen a pastor who said when he's preaching, his leg must not touch the ground? Have you seen a pastor who was preaching and he was walking on human beings, and they will lie down and he will be walking on them as he's preaching? You have seen that. Now, how could he achieve that without first killing them? He must have withdrawn God's life from them. He must have shielded the truth of the word of God from them. Excuse me. A correct teacher is the one who makes himself gradually unnecessary to the student. Does it make sense? All right. A correct teacher is the one who makes himself gradually unnecessary to the student. Gradually unneeded by the student. If you are pastoring a person and he has been under you for 5 years, 6 years, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, and anything he sees in dream, he runs to you. When he sees cockroaches, he runs to you. You are not a good pastor. A correct pastor is the one who raises lives, and gradually they could stand on their own and say, Pastor, do you know that something happened? I didn't bother you because you have taught us how to handle it. He said, but you should have told. He said, look, we don't pass that one. No, be taking care of small children that God is just bringing to you. For us, we don't pass. We can handle that. I don't know whether you understand me. A brother was writing to me recently and he said, I must thank you for how you taught me. You taught me to depend upon God. So when I gained admission into university, you told me that I should tell you every time I want to pay my school fees. But I refused to tell you because you taught me how to depend upon God. And I went through my university days without disturbing you for a kobo. Now, I am thinking that a correct teacher is a man who gradually makes himself unnecessary. They are not putting you everywhere. They will soon kill you. If a child at 12 is not walking, that's no longer a child, he is a body. Am I making sense to you, sirs? Now, I want you to understand that as far as Jacob was concerned, he said, I did not eat any of the rams. I didn't kill them in order for me to feast upon them. What is so important for us, and you know, for those of us who the Lord is helping to give balanced teaching to those who are under us, you will agree with me that you don't talk carelessly when you are talking to them, because you know they can say, excuse me, sir, 2 years ago you said this thing that you are saying now, how do we reconcile it? So when you are speaking, when you are writing, you are careful, because you know that there is not, Paul said, everything that is profitable unto you, I have not hidden from you. I taught you from house to house and publicly. And I think that is the the hallmark of a correct shepherd whose life is thrown into total service of the master. Teaching them everything. Now, I know that in the Southwest, especially among the Yorubas, they will tell you that what the elder uses to eat eko is under the leaves. So you want the people to respect you, so you hide from them what could make them to stand on their own so that they can depend upon you every time. You are not helping yourself. Caleb came to Joshua and told Joshua, when Moses, the servant of God, sent me and you and 10 other people to go and spy out the land of Canaan, I brought him report as it was in my heart. So give me this mountain. As I was 45 years ago, so I am now. I can go to war and then I can come back. And Joshua granted him the mountain and he possessed the mountain. But you see, down the line, I was surprised when it was time to take the mountain that Joshua said, whoever goes and conquer these people, I will give him my daughter. I thought Joshua said he can go to war and come back. So why shouldn't he go? Why shouldn't he lead that battle? If he was as strong as he was 45 years ago. I'm not saying Caleb lied. But I sense and I saw wisdom in what Caleb did. What Caleb did was that between those 45 years, he had raised young men like himself. So he considered his strength not diminishing because he had people that can fight the way he could fight. And one of them stepped out and said, I will go. And he gave him his daughter. Now, I want you to know that we are not helping ourselves when we kill the people, when we withdraw the word of God from them so that we can milk them, so that we can cheat them, so that we can bamboozle them, so that they can be at our beck and call. That's not a service. That is total as far as the word of God is concerned. If God is going to help you, look, don't let me talk about myself. There is no reason for me to do so. But I just want you to know that it is a lot of help when you have children that are sharp, when you have children that are intelligent, when you have children that are spiritual, when you have children that when you are not in the service on Sunday and they preach, standing in for you and they preach, and you return and your members will say, we didn't miss you last Sunday. The brother you asked to take the pulpit was a good son of yours. He preaches as though you are the one who preached. Then I think you are a successful pastor. But if you're the local champion, excuse me, you are a disaster. Invest your life on the people that God has sent you to. I beg you, you have nothing to lose. If I couldn't come to this meeting, I have people I can send here. And if they come, they preach. You may not even bother to look for me again. Children that God, under my hand, has raised. I can send them and I will not be afraid. And they will not perform anything less. In fact, I tell them that my prayer, both in secret and in public, is that they will be 10 times greater, 10 times better than I am. There is no correct father who prays that his children will be lower than himself. Have you ever seen such father? I don't know. I don't want to be such a father in my life, that my children will be dwarf and I will be the big man here. No. I am praying the Lord will give me such children in the faith that will be greater than I am, that will have greater utterance, better insight into the word of God than I am. That's what it means to be a successful father. Am I making sense to you? Now, I wish I could talk about brothers and the sisters in the fellowship as I'm seeing it in this passage of the Bible, but I will delay it a little bit. Let me take verse 39. That which, I'm reading Genesis 31, verse 39. That which was torn of beast, I brought not unto thee. I bear the loss of it. Of my hand, this thou require it, whether stolen by day or stolen by night. Maybe I should ask you, what do you think about these verses? I'd like to hear your voice. What do you think? What is this verse suggesting? Any animal that is killed by wild animal, I don't even bring that animal to you. I bear the loss. It becomes my personal loss. Either it is stolen during the day or it is stolen during the night. Any mishap to any of the animal is the personal loss of Jacob and not the loss of Laban. I want to ask you, what does that suggest? I am waiting to hear your contributions, sirs. All right, let's use the microphone so that we can hear your voice, sir.
From that passage, I can see that there is a covenant or an agreement between Laban and Jacob before the commencement of the work, that this is the amount of cattle I gave you to rear for me. Then as you are rearing it for me, this is my expectation. It must not less than that. And Jacob has made up his mind that irrespective of whatever happened, I will bear the cost. So I can see that Laban was a strict man, a kind of strict man, a person or a leader who's expecting no matter how or whatever happened, what is belonged to him must be perfect, must be okay, irrespective of what happened to somebody who is working under him. So that is what I see.
Thank you very much, sir. You have seen well. Let me listen to Daddy here. Take note of what he said, that it appears an agreement between Jacob and Laban. And Laban did not hide his expectation from Jacob. That irrespective of what happens, I gave you 500 animal, and I don't want to hear stories, so it must be 500 that you bring to me. Thank you. Yes, Daddy.
Okay. I see commitment on the part of Jacob.
All right.
And it may not have been the wish of Laban that he should, he knows for sure that there could be some mishap, stealing or death. But because of the commitment of Jacob, he on his own decided that if the thing dies, he will pay. And if it is stolen, he will pay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Let me hear Daddy at the back there too.
Praise the Lord.
Hallelujah.
First of all, Jacob was giving account of his stewardship unto Laban. But going deep down to it, in the Bible manner and custom, a shepherd has to endanger his life for the sheep. It is customary in the Palestine land that if you have a master and you are serving under them, all the sheep or the flock you rear out, when you are coming back, you return there. Per adventure, if lion or wolf come to take any one of them away, there must be lap or any part of the body to indicate that truly wild animal has come to consume. So Jacob gave the stewardship that even by the time the lions and the wolf came to devour the sheep, he exchanged the damaged one to his own plot. Then he gave the brand new one complete to Laban's portion. That means he did not cheat Laban of the stewardship he has served. But as a shepherd, he preserved things given unto him.
Great. All of these, we're going to apply it. We're going to see how do we apply this truth emerging from our contribution to the work we are doing. The people God has given to us, how many did we agree should be lost in a year among them with God? Is God a loose leader that will not mind when we start an assembly with 500 members and the assembly has depleted to 250, and we say, well, Boroni, I tried, they are not going to stay. You will have to tell me whether that's the kind of shepherding you think is right with God or under God. We need to also check if actually we have also lived like that to endanger our lives because of the sheep. How much risk we take and how much we stretch out our necks just because we want to rescue and protect and preserve and ensure that even if they are not going to increase in number, let it not be that under my watch the number decreases. I don't know if I'm making sense to you at all. I saw one hand here the other time. Did I see one hand here? Yes. It's no longer.
Accountability of Jacob to Laban. That's what I want to talk about. Then my question that came to my mind as the teaching is going on is that did Jacob ask extra sheep or lamb somewhere that he used to replace the lost or the one that has been killed or stolen away? That's the question that came to my mind.
Okay.
Then how can we, as a pastor, can we, if a member left our church, can we go and look for another member to replace the person that left, or how can we balance situations?
80 salads. Now you are talking. As a matter of fact, Jacob had a flock. I'm sure you remember that they separated flock. Now, but Jacob cannot bring his own into Laban's because The one that Jacob had were the speckled and the spotted. And that must not come into the congregation of Laban's assembly. Is that all right? Now, it meant that the type that was lost, he will have to go and look for it somewhere else and buy it. It means that he will sell part of his own to raise money to go and get another one and come. So if a brother or a sister somehow leaves, instead of us to blame the sister, instead of us to blame the brother, instead of us to not to take responsibility. So what stops us from bending our knees and stretching out our hand and ensuring that we win another person, if not that person, back to the fold? What stops us? If our life is for the total service of Christ. Stops us. If you are traveling and you lost one tire, are you going to continue with 3 tires? You look for the spare and you put. By the time you arrive or when you get to where you are going, you are likely going to buy another tire because you are thinking that I don't want to travel back without a spare tire. If you lose anything that is so important to you, what do? The last time you lost your phone, why don't you continue without phone? Why did you buy another one? Why did you find a replacement of the phone you lost? We bought a laptop for our media. Why did you find a replacement that finally of the got a media laptop? And it didn't last 2 months in our hand. One of our brothers needed to produce a clip for a meeting that was approaching. And he went to go and pick the laptop, took it to. That night, robbers came to his house and stole it. Now, we're not going to sit down and say, work has finished. Work has not finished. We have to get another one. Costly, yes, but we have to get another one because this work must continue. I don't know if I'm making sense to you. Now, Jacob said, in fact, I don't even bring it to your notice. I don't even tell you because it's not your business. It's my business to ensure that this congregation remains intact. David did not have money to go and buy another animal to replace the animal of his father. For David, he was not working as a slave or as a servant under Jesse. He was a son. He didn't have another flock somewhere where he's going to go and take to replace anyone that is lost. For David, as far as David was concerned, no animal will be lost here. It is the wild animal that will die for his own sheep. He remains the icon of a shepherd in the Bible. So when he was writing, the Lord is my shepherd, I said, you can tell me. Because you yourself, you are a good shepherd. You know what it means to be a shepherd. So you can tell me, the Lord is my, you understand it. He said, though I walk through the valley of shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for thou art with me. Now you understand that when lion roars against the sheep under David, when they look up and they see lion, before they run, they will check around if David is around. Once David is around, they keep eating. They are saying, Baba Bieda, come here. We have a shepherd here who we know can handle any animal. And we are not afraid of the roaring of the lion. Even the wild animal understood David to a point that if you must pick any animal under David's watch, you can't do it alone. No. So a bear and a lion, they are not the same. And they don't work together. They form cooperative society. And they say, you pick the lamb, I will defend you. The two of them pick a lamb. David said, I ran at them. I was not interested in them. My first interest was to take the lamb. I delivered the lamb from their mouth, and they rose against me. He said, I beat them. I killed both the lion and the bear. It shouldn't be that we open two doors of our churches, the front door and the back door. If a bottle has two openings, that bottle cannot be filled. Does it make sense at all? It cannot be filled. It must not be that we leave the front door open and then the back door is also open. So as they are coming in like this, they are going out. No. No. We must understand that feeding the flock also means keeping them. If we are not keepers, then we are not feeders. If we are feeders, then we must be keepers of the flock. And then he said, even if they are stolen by day and by night. And I said, excuse me. Now I agree that if they are stolen by day, I will say, what are you doing? But if they are stolen by night, won't you sleep? Jacob said, I bear the loss, irrespective of the hour of the day in which any animal is stolen. If you read the next verse, can somebody read the next verse for us? We are on Genesis chapter 31, verse 40. Hear the testimony of a shepherd. Thus I was. Go ahead, sir.
In the day, the dross consumed me.
The what, sir?
The dross.
Drought. You know the meaning of drought? Heat. In the day, heat consumed me. Yes.
And the frost by night.
And cold, frost, ice, snow will consume me by night.
And my sleep departed from my eyes.
Do you understand that? Is there anybody who is into medical science here? No doctor, no nobody. Because I want to ask, when somebody could no longer sleep, what do you call it in medicine? Insomnia, Insomnia. Is this a good thing? Jacob said, at a point, my sleep departed. There is no difference between day and night. For 2 weeks, 20 years. Reverend Bimbo and I and his wife yesterday, he was reminding me something I said some years ago. Said I told him that day that now I am 45 years old. So I was talking to him about Jehu, who was driving like a madman. And I said, his wife was counseling me that I should ensure that I sleep between the hours of 10 p.m. and 3 a.m. I said, I am repenting small. I am repenting. But there was something that was driving me. It was the story of Jehu. I told him that I actually drove like a madman, traveled everywhere, preaching like no man's business, and you would think that there's no sense here at all. I told him one day I was ministering in, I think in Kotun Egbe, somewhere here, or Egbeda, somewhere here. I was taking meetings like this, and on a Friday, I preached all night till around 3:30 a.m. And I dashed to the hotel that just took, there's no say, a wash, jumped into the car, drove to Ilorin immediately to go and preach, because I must be on the pulpit at 10 a.m. in Ilorin. And I must return for 5 p.m. at Ikotun here that same day to preach. I do that a lot. Even a few weeks ago, I left Kaduna, we arrived, and straight to Adwekiti that same day to go and preach. Because it is as though I am not thinking about my life. But yes, I think about my life. But my prayer has ever been that by the time I will die, I want to die empty. There shouldn't be anything that I ought to do that I have not done. Let it not be that there is a debt to pay, or paid by the time I breathe my last. Am I making sense to you at all this morning? Now, Jacob said, look, if anything happens to any of the flock by day, I bear the loss. And if it happens night, I bear the loss. That is how I am until my sleep departed. Because in the day is watching, in the night when he ought to be sleeping is watching. He can't trust the small shepherds under him. He will be the one to check. I hope you know that the day Jesus was born and the angel came to meet the shepherds in the night, what were they doing, please? They were watching their flock by night. So I realized that to feed the sheep also include to watch over. Watching over them. Praying in the night. While they were sleeping in their homes and they are snoring away. And they are just careless about their lives. You as a shepherd must not be careless. Except your life is not for total service. If it's for partial service, it's all right. But if it is for total service, imagine what happened to Job. I don't know whether you have compared Job and Peter. That what happened to Job will have happened to Peter. You know, it was the devil who suggested that Job should be tried for God to know that he's not a correct man. Shall you remember? Do you remember also that Jesus told Peter that the devil had desired and he made request to? They say he has demanded to sift you as wheat. Now, I imagine in my heart that what happened to Job happened because Job had no pastor who could come and stand in the gap. Jesus said to Peter, but I have prayed for you that your faith fail not. Why? Because while Peter was throwing his mouth all about, and after throwing his mouth and saying things he doesn't know, in the day he goes to sleep. And when he's sleeping, the devil is saying, Oluwa, omokunrin, eje ba yin gba lenu die. His mouth is too sharp. He doesn't know anything. And then while they were doing that, Jesus will appear in the meeting and said, Father, he's my boy. Just don't mind this man, don't mind this devil. Leave Peter alone for me. I will handle it. I wonder if Job's pastor also appeared in that meeting that day. Even if Job did not appear. Even if Job was absent in that council meeting that day, and the pastor of Job was there, and he will have said, Lord, please leave Job alone. I know how to handle his case. I will counsel him. Now, he wouldn't have gone through those pains. He wouldn't. But Peter escaped just because he had a shepherd who did not only preach to him, but watched over his life. It was because Peter had a shepherd. Even though Peter will be absent from the meeting in heaven, but he will not be absent from that meeting. Because as a shepherd, he also watches. As he keeps, he watches. And I want to suggest to you, sirs, fellow servants of the Most High God, that if it's going to be our life and not just our skill and not just our experience we have acquired that we want to throw into this work, if we are going to throw our lives in this work and it's going to be total service unto God, then I don't think it will not happen that your sleep will also depart. I'm not saying you should kill yourself. No. I'm not saying you should not sleep at all. I cannot tell you that. Because looking at many of us now, I'm not thinking that you can drive your body too hard anymore. However, even the little that you can do, please do. I told the brethren with me that many years ago, I read a book by Zachariah Fumum, Deliverance from the Sin of Laziness. It's a terrible book. I want to recommend it, but I'm afraid to recommend it. It's a terrible book. That God's servant, the kind of grace he carried is enormous. He taught me so many things. I never met him physically. When I went to Cameroon some few years ago, I traced the ministry of his out. I just want to see where this man came from. I want to be there. So they took me there. I said, wow. So this is where Zachariah former ministered. They said, yes, Kai. I read quite a number of his books, and very radical, extremely radical. Zachariah Foreman said it is that a correct Christian should not sleep for more than 3 hours in a day. Does it make sense? 3 hours. How would that be sufficient? He said, it is what you give your body that your body demands from you. That was how I was delivered from ice water many years ago. That if you don't give your body anything, your body will never ask you for it at all. I realized that since I stopped giving my body ice water, my body never asked for ice water again. Since I stopped giving my body carbonated drink, Coca-Cola and all of that many, many years ago, my body stopped demanding for Coke. It doesn't sit and request for it anymore. I said, wow, what a deliverance. Deliverance. Zachariah Foreman said he does not understand how he will come to the house of a Christian and he find Coke, he find tea inside his house. Say, where did he get money to buy all of that when there is mission? Very tough writer. Very tough writer. I try to imbibe some of those things that he taught. They are very hard, but they are very, very profitable. Extremely profitable. So I say to you, it is not right for things to happen to people under your watch and you are not in the know of it at all. If not all, at least 75% should be known to you. God said, how can I hide what I do from Abraham? He himself was asking himself, is it right, the judge of the whole universe, to be doing something and Abraham will not know? When he was going to Sodom, was there no airport in Sodom? Why did he use the airport in Canaan? And then landed in the airport of Canaan, and then he was walking past the front of Abraham's house. Did he need to pass through that place? And Abraham said, as I'm seeing you appear to be coming from a very far distance. Please come, wait, let me give you something. Wash your feet and eat, and then you continue your journey. And they said, anything you want to do, go and do it. And they sat down, and the man cooked for them, and then they ate. And then they talk. He said, by this time next year we are coming back, Sarah will carry a baby. And as they were going, Abraham was just seeing them off. And he said, shall I hide what I do from my servant Abraham? Seeing that he is going to be a great man. And the Lord began to tell him. And then Abraham stood there to intercede. So I felt in my heart that it is the responsibility of Jehovah to tell us what is going on in the congregation. We don't need amebozo. I'm telling you, we don't need it. We don't need it. God will tell you. Many times when people are talking, I said, well, I don't know, but I also know that there is nobody who walks with me that I don't know. God himself speaks to me about them. But I may be quiet, but I will not say anything, so they don't know that I know. They don't know that I know, but I know. Not because I know, but because God showed me. I don't know if I'm making sense to you. Now, if you are not a watcher, you cannot see. A watcher stands on the watchtower and always higher than all the buildings around, so that they can see far. You can see far into the future of the people. You can see the enemy approaching far away, and before he comes closer, you can nip him in the bud. That's what the Lord has called us into. As I close, because I feel we should also take one or two questions. if God's servant will so permit before we go. Can we flip back to John 16 and let me just tie it together and then we'll pray. John chapter 6. That's where we started from yesterday morning. And I read from verse 26, and I'm going to read from there now and just tie it. Jesus answered them and said, Verily, verily, I say unto you, ye seek me, not because ye saw the miracles, but because ye did eat of the loaves and were filled. Labor not for the meat which perisheth, but for that meat which endureth unto everlasting life, which the Son of Man shall give unto you. For him hath God the Father sealed. Now, as I tie this, because of time, we may not be able to look at the next two verses for the want of time. Jesus said, labor not for the meat which perisheth, but for that meat which endureth into everlasting life. I want to say to you, sirs, that as servants of God, we have two kinds of meat we can serve our people. The perishable meat and the imperishable meat. I wish I can open the book of Jeremiah chapter 23. Say, he that hath a dream, let him tell a dream. And he that hath my word, let him speak faithfully. What is chaff to wheat? I don't know whether you have read that passage of the Bible. Have you read it before? Oh, yes. Some of us have read it. Some of us are trying to remember the scripture I've just quoted now. Now, if you come to Jeremiah chapter number 23. Are you there? Verse 28. The prophet that hath a dream, let him tell a dream. And he that hath my word, let him speak my word faithfully. What is chaff to the wheat, saith the Lord? Is not my word like as a fire, saith the Lord, and like a hammer that breaketh the rock in pieces? I read verse 32. Behold, I am against them that prophesy false dreams, saith the Lord, and do tell them, and cause my people to err by their lies, and by their lightness. Yet I sent them not, nor commanded them. Therefore they shall not profit this people at all, saith the Lord. I don't know if you take note of that. I'll read verses 21, 22. I have not sent this prophet, yet they ran. I have not spoken to them, yet they prophesied. But if they have stood in my counsel, and had caused my people to hear my words, then they should have turned them from their evil way and from the evil of their doings. May the Lord bless this word in our hearts in the name of Jesus. I just want to spend a few minutes to tie this. Few minutes, less than 10 minutes. Excuse me. I heard Jesus say, labor not for the meat that perisheth. For us as minister, I want to look at the word meat as bread, as food, as the message we bring to God's people. To get perishable food requires a work, and to get imperishable food requires a work. What the man with 1 talent did by digging the soil was a work. For him to dig and to hide the money inside the soil will have cost him sweat. That energy, he could use it to invest that money. Am I making sense to you? All right. Now, I want you to please take note that those who speak the word that is not God's have come up with what they are speaking through great labor. They will have read a lot of books. They could have consulted people, or even go on the net, download, spend money on data and all of that. Even if what you are saying is psychological and is not spiritual, it's a product of work. All right? And when you want to speak spiritual, I also tell you that it's a product of work. Now, however, Jeremiah, under God, said, the prophet who has a dream, let him speak a dream. And the prophet who has my word, let him speak my word faithfully. What is chaff to the wheat, saith the Lord? In other words, dream, a personal dream, personal imagination, personal understanding, personal experiences, personal knowledge. They are dreams of a man, and God call it chaff in your bow. But the word of God, God call it wheat. And God was saying, so what is wheat to chaff? How do you compare wheat with chaff? Nobody in his right senses eat chaff. Epo ewa. Tani ma jẹ? Ewúrẹ́ ni. Kí lèyàn ń jẹ? Ẹ̀wà gangan. Epo ẹ̀pà. Tani ń jẹ? Kò sí. Even tó bá fún ọ̀bọ, have you ever noticed that even monkey, if you give monkey groundnut, he will crack it and take the nut inside. Even monkey. And when Yoruba call a man monkey, they are saying he is stupid. Even stupid monkey, permit me, will not eat the shell of granite. It cracks the shell, takes the granite. Now, what you preach, if it is from your personal imagination, you are serving shell of granite to God's people. I want to appeal to you to please seek, get the word from God. Bend your knees. So I read verses 21 and 22. It said, I have not sent this prophet, yet they ran. I have not spoken to them, yet they prophesy. If they had stood in my counsel, one translation says, if they have attended a council meeting. In other words, anybody, if this meeting, even this meeting as we are doing it, we are taking records of it. Every correct meeting must have minutes of the meeting. And then when we come back for the next meeting, Who can move the motion for the adoption of the minutes? Those who attended that meeting. Now, somebody could raise a matter in the next meeting, say, we have decided on that matter in the last meeting, so don't go there again. Why is he talking like that? Because he wasn't there when the meeting was held. I want to say to you that I don't know, but this is the way I think. When Samuel saw Eliab and he said, surely the Lord's anointed is before him, I felt that the meeting, the council meeting, where Eliab was chosen, Samuel was there. But it appears there was another emergency meeting that God called, where he rejected Eliab as the king. That meeting, Samuel was not there. So he brought a message that was stale. He said, surely the Lord's anointed is before him. God said, we have rejected him. In other words, you were there when we accepted him, but we had another meeting where we rejected him. You didn't come for that meeting. Sorry. Now, what makes a servant of God to bring stale message to the pulpit is because he is not attending meeting with God consistently. What makes you to bring fresh message, fresh revelation, relevant message, actually on the spot message to people is when, as a servant of God, we attend council meeting. It is such message that turns people's hearts away from their evil. Not the one we download from the internet. I'm not saying you should not go to the internet, but I will advise you as a servant of God. You don't need internet to speak to God's people. He knows them more than internet. And he will give you the right message for the right hour if you take time to attend meeting with God. So how do I attend meeting with God? First, your quiet time. Your quiet time. A correct servant of God should not joke with his quiet time. One of our brothers called me this morning after 7 o'clock. So when I was taking my breakfast, he called again. I said, were you the one that called this morning? He said, yes, because when I heard his voice, the number that I saw in the morning was his wife's number. But when I heard his voice, when he called later, it was the husband. I said, were you the one that called with this number in the morning? He said, yes, yeah. Well, you should know that I'm a Christian. I should be having my quiet time at that time. Why are you calling that early in the morning when I'm still attending council meeting? Each time I travel to the east is a problem because people in Onitsha, they hold, like this minister's meeting now, it should be 5:30 in the morning. Because 7 o'clock, people are going to the market. Even if a dead man is rising here, it doesn't concern Onitsha man, he's going to the market. So, morning meeting must be even Sunday service. I have preached in Sunday service. Is it 5 a.m. Yinka or 5:30? 5:30. Sunday service, 5:30. And they told me, Pastor, 7 o'clock, the meeting must close. And before 5:30, a very massive hall had been filled to capacity. And I said, if I continue like this, I will die. Because money is for the council meeting. I know those of you in Lagos. Unfortunately, I'm also coming to Lagos. I am praying that the Lord will help you. I know you must hit the road at 4:30 in the morning. Otherwise, especially those of you who live in these axes, you may not get out. The way I came and I have to go and preach in London, they told me, if you don't leave as early as 4:30, forget, you are not going to Ilorin again. I said, I have to comply. Now, I want you to know that that is very important. Your prayer meeting with God is critical. Those brethren say will give ourselves to prayer and to the ministry of the word. That will make us to push our lives in total service to God. Thank you very much, sir.
Please, do we have people that have questions? Yes. Praise the Lord. Please, if we have questions, and I said it yesterday to peradventure not within the context of even what we are discussing. If we have issues that have to do with ministry that we can interact together, please let us discuss about it. So should we entertain questions now? How many of us would like to? Okay, 1, 2. All right. Please. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Yes, sir. All right, sir. Please, you can give him the microphone. That's what we're saying now. Okay. Our voice should be captured.
Maybe our teacher is following the time. There's kind of conjunction that he omitted in his teaching, and I thought that he will go back to that place.
All right. What was that, sir?
Before we jump from that of David, like the way he mentioned it, but like the question our brother asked. So I want us to have the full application, how we can endanger ourselves. It's not a question, but I want him to show more light. So it's not a question.
It's becoming a question, sir. All right. All right. So you can go ahead. We understand what you're saying. All right.
Because I want to know how we can relate that kind of Jacob and David with our members and to do the work of God. Because we are talking of total service to God.
Okay.
So I want us to have more explanation about that. I'm sorry, like I used to say, this time is our teacher. In fact, I love time. But at the same time, once we are here, we need to get the best from him.
All right.
So that is where I'm going.
It's okay, sir. So that time will not be the constraint. I think that's where you started from. It's all right. Okay. And I think you understand. All right. We will take time to shed more light on that area. But I must also add quickly that issue of Jacob, we actually started from yesterday. So there are some things that he just brushed over it to help our understanding where we stopped yesterday before continuation. But when it comes, he will be able to help us through. All right, sir. Can we get the second one also so that we could be able to? All right.
You told us about 3 questions. Okay, it's a question. You say it's 3 questions. So feeding my sheep or my lamb and fleeing sin.
Yeah, we have 3 things: feeding the lambs, fleecing the lamb, and feasting on the lamb.
So I did not get that third one very clearly.
Feasting. Is it feasting or fleecing?
The last one, feasting.
Feasting on Okay.
I did not get it right. I want more. So I got the order of feed my lambs and fleecing on.
Fleecing on.
So, but that's what one I did not get.
16 on. Okay. All right. All right. Please just go ahead. We will. Please. All right. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Make me to tell. I told the man that, well, you are not God. If all that we are doing here is purposely for the expansion and for the growth of the church, you cannot go against it. Even if you did not release yourself, or whatever you have, or whatever you have been given, maybe in terms of financial, in terms of support, in terms of anything. But I'm telling you, truly speaking, as God will have it, even when he folds his hands in all that he's doing, God proves himself that I'm still on my business. So what am I trying to say there is that, humanly speaking, I'm furious that day. That how can you be saying that with all the teaching and all the lesson, even you prove yourself that you know everything in the Bible. So I was trying to confront, but later I just have to leave him for. But later he realized it. But what am I trying to come? This type of lesson that we are talking about, that is, I want to ask that we have different types of people like that in the church. Or they will come in different angle in order to bring the ministry of the pastor down. Maybe thinking that they want to bring the pastor down, not knowing that this is the work of God. With the lesson of today, how can we handle such a people in order to, so that we will not go or do things in our own way? Sometimes, because our knowledge, sometimes our majority of things that God is doing, we cannot pantwin it. That is my own question.
Thank you very much, sir. Another hand at the back. Okay, you also want to say something. All right. Please just a moment. You will still talk, but I just want to hold the microphone. You are the one that will talk next. The question of our pastor now is, with the teaching of today, why in our churches we have people that are not supportive, people that are proving that they even know better than the pastor, and we have learned that the front door should not be opened, and then the back door is also opened. How can we undo such people in the church? Thank you. Yes, sir.
Thank you for the opportunity. I want to talk about the time in the quiet time. Since as a minister of God, you must be in the camp of the Lord before you can come to the presence of the people of the Lord. And with the time limit, I need to confess, it's by opportunity I'm here. I was asked to stay. They locked the door that enough is now, you should rest. I doctor every one of them. Now, this is the challenge we are facing. I wasn't around yesterday. This is the challenge we are facing. All what we have said is real. We must be in the presence of God before we can be in the presence of man. And these are some of the challenges that are facing us up and down. Time management, family issue, all upon the pastor. I know we need grace, but I still want to learn. Because when our speaker was talking, he wanted to say something on that area later. I thought he will enlighten us more on that area. Later, they left that area. Maybe there is another way we can go by, especially in this environment we find ourselves. Thank you.
I think I remember he said, especially those in Lagos. That's what you. All right. So I think he will speak to that also. Before you come to, there's another hand there. All right. So, and then we will take the last one.
Praise the Lord.
Hallelujah.
I love this ministry, especially all the followers of Brother Billy Akoni. I don't have a church, but I'm a pastor. But I'm really touched on the issue of quiet time, especially his commenting on it. I just want to, and he empathized with us for Lagos issues. Today I did my VG. I came late here. To now incorporate the family quiet time was difficult. Then, as a minister of God that we are, and we are supposed to imitate Jesus using Paul's language. After every ministration, almost after every ministration, Jesus will go apart on the mountain and he will be there throughout the night. I know pastor is going to tell me, or brother Ario is going to tell me that there is a place of quiet time with the family or yourself alone, and there is a place of being alone with God. I have always believed being alone with God is very, very important. And also because we were taught here and everywhere that if we want to be the head, we must be ahead. I know in our place where I am a pastor, our Jew told us that if you are growing, if you don't bring your wife up, he will pull you down. That's what he said. And not once, not twice. That's Pastor Adeboye. That you must, as you are growing spiritually, if your wife does not go, he's going to bring you down. So, sir, my question is, I don't know whether you can use your example, how we are going to reorganize this issue, looking at the backdrop of Lagos engagement and activities. Because if a man of God has not made it in the place of prevailing prayer, he will continue to preach feel-good messages. And pastors are pressured to do it. And thank God he has emphasized it. We want to preach what the church wants to hear. We want to preach what we bring chaff for us, rather than preach to get wheat from God. Pastors are looking at other pastors that are broken through, and they just want to do it. Finally, sir, because before my question becomes another thing, you should appreciate that I have age problems, senility. Because it becomes, since I started attending this discipleship something, I stopped reading a lot of prayers on WhatsApp. I don't read them. You know, people send prayers. I don't know what Pastor Brother Rio is aware. When I read your prayer, and it is always about me, or the devil, I have stopped magnifying the devil over God. And my GO told us in the ministers' conference, tell your problem who your God is. The worship is washed with, as you are going this morning, any rainbow that is in your front. Again, the thing is everywhere, and it's pastors that are sending it. This kind of prayer. Daddy may want to talk about it. I don't read it again. I delete it. I don't want to read it. And when you say you send a prayer for me, how am I saying, sure, you made it for me? Just, I read your prayer as if something is falling. And there's 5 days in November. You can we die. These people have refused to die. If we are in our duty post, if we are where we are supposed to be as a son, if we enjoy the sonship, if we are sheep as we are supposed to be and we are not goats, the shepherd neither sleep nor slumber. And I think the teaching of Daddy is encapsulated in Luke 9:27. If anybody want to follow me, I think Jacob denied himself. David denied himself. I think that's the message that he's telling us. I think it's encapsulating that. Thank you. I'm sorry for this kind of question. It's old age. Please forgive me.
Thank you very much. And the last one. I think you get that, Susan. All right, sir. Okay.
Praise the Lord. I want to appreciate our teacher for this great teaching. I have a lot of questions to raise here.
All of them all together. All right.
But I will make this snappy.
Okay.
First and foremost, sir, I tried to check yesterday after when I got to Wednesday. I tried to check the issue of lamb, feed my sheep, and fleeting and feasting. So I got more understanding about it. But I want to know, sir, when Jesus Christ used feed my lamb, feed my sheep, and I want to know, is there any difference between lamb and feed? Like I check it, I don't see any difference. Maybe I don't make my research very well.
Okay.
And again, in the book of Acts 8:32, when Paul was saying something about it was led as a lamb, and in that place the lamb was used while the sheep was used first and the lamb was used second. So I want to, maybe they are just using the same two different names to
all right. As if they are interchanging the usage.
Yes.
All right, you want to find out that. Okay.
The second question, sir. When you are talking about the delivery from laziness, something, or why a pastor will take all the night sleep, what I want to ask something about, what of can that's if one does not have rest at all, what about can source not lead to burnout in ministry? I read a book while we were in seminary, if burnout in ministry. So I'm trying to look about working for God without getting taking time to rest. Would that not cause harm to our body, and would that not short our life, that we will not be able to fulfill even what God wants us to do if we don't have rest at all in the ministry?
All right.
The other one is that
clarification about the concept of laziness and rest in ministry.
Right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. The other one, sir. I thought maybe I will have personal discussion with him before, but let me raise it now. The issue now that I have the zeal just to work for God. I'll be up and doing, but there's sometimes there are some challenges that discourage ones. That I want your advice on that aspect. There's discouragement. Like this morning, I woke up this morning. I said, God, I want to do this. I want to do this for you, which I'll be doing by God to God glory. I've started a ministry of morning cry every day. It was yesterday and today that I don't do it. Since September, after my launching of my album, I started that ministry, going out every morning sometimes. Then I have that zeal, but there are some challenges around that discourage one. I need. What can one do? Can one forget about some problem and love God more as God's as Peter? Do you love more than this?
Yes.
Can one forget his own problem and say, okay, I want to be doing God's work, do God's word?
All right.
Then that's one, sir. But when you said that Samuel did not attend the last emergency council meeting.
Yeah.
Issue comes that whereby a pastor will say, I have prepared my message. Then after much the pulpit, I have another topic. Can we say that pastor the council meeting has taken place again, and he's not attending the meeting, and that's why God gave me another message to preach after I had prepared for a message to preach on Sunday.
All right. Thank you very much. All right, it's okay. But I will counsel that the second to the last question, he might say one or two things about it, but personally, it will be available for you to discuss one-on-one, because I think that is more personal than general. But the last question is basically on, okay, can we say that the pastor that said my message changed at the last minute before starting in fact, all right, the servant of God will respond to that. I want to add to it that in fact sometimes maybe you started the message, you even started the message and everything changed. So maybe that person also missed a council meeting. All right, thank you, sir.
Praise the Lord. I appreciate the Lord for the questions that has been inspired in our hearts. The first one, it's about applying the experience of David and the experience of Jacob taking care of the sheep of Laban, David taking care of the sheep of his father. How do we take risk? How do we risk our lives for our members? I was preaching about 2-3 weeks ago now in Kaduna, First Baptist Church, Kaduna. That church has been there for 101 years now. There were 100 years last year, 101 this year. They asked me to speak on breaking new ground. And so I was drawing from the book of Joshua. Joshua, you are old, and yet there are more lands for you. And so at a point, one of the evenings, where I was looking at Barzillai, this man that gave David food when Absalom, chased him out of the palace. And when David was coming back, Barzillai, David said Barzillai should follow him to the palace, that he was going to make Barzillai enjoy his life till death. And Barzillai said, I'm 85. I can't taste good food. I can't taste good music. I will just be a burden to the king. And he gave him his son. So whatever you want to do for me, do it to my son. So I was telling the leaders, elders that were in that meeting, some of them are retired, and I told them that it would be wrong for them to die now when they have influence and they can take some of these young children and plant them in key places in Kaduna State and possibly in Nigeria. Some of them retired as director, as DG, possibly as commissioners, top people who are retirees. And then they are the people that put those who are there, and they can take a small boy and say, this is my boy. Find a place for him there. While they are alive, they will do that. But once they die, he's gone. Now, what Barzillai did that day was a big risk. For him to send something to David that Absalom chased out. If Absalom should hear about it, he will be the first to be killed, because he has helped the enemy of the king, so to speak. Now, we have such opportunities. Very many. As a preacher, for instance, I have opportunities. I have met people across this country. And that privilege is there. This Saturday, I was preaching in a wedding service, and one of the ex-governors was there, took my number and all of that. Now, just in case I have somebody, I won't call him. Even if you give me his number, I won't call him. I don't do it. I won't. But I will have people, children under me, who will need them. It is my responsibility, even though it's a risk, it is my responsibility to connect them. It's my responsibility to pave way for them. Now, I have people who are cheated, and some of them are wrongly cheated. And I also know people in government. I appreciate. And I go out and say, so person is my son. And so person did something. Please handle it for me. And I will not leave where I am. And there are some of them, and then the job is wrongly cheated. That is. And I also know people in government. Sometime, and I go out and say, so person is my son. Thank God to so person did something. Please handle it for me. While I was and I will not leave where I am. Sometime, and then the job is done. I will leave their home. That is there. 12:30 a.m. Sometime. And the brother will say, let me go and drop your cup. I said, don't drop me. Thank God today they are servants of God. While I was raising them to my house, I didn't have a car. Sometime I will leave their home to my house. 12:30 a.m. And the brother will say, let me go and drop your tomb. I said, some time ago he was telling me that he was coming from a meeting, tired, and he came out of his car to my house. I didn't have a car. He was fighting with me. I said, I will walk to my house. Debt, and I must pay. He entered back into the car and drove to that family. He said, now it's a risk. Some time ago he was telling me that he was coming from a meeting, tired, as he came out of his car. Stretch out because we don't want anybody to die. There are people. Somebody was talking about difficult members and drove to that family. Brother. Now it's a risk to be extreme, very difficult. Recently I was we must stretch out because we don't want anybody to looking at different. There are people following and shadowing. Somebody was talking about difficult members, raising difficult brothers. Judas as a shadower and not a follower. Same thing with Gehazi. Recently I was as a shadower and not a follower. Looking at different following and shadowing. Elisha and Jesus. And I was knew that these men were shadowers. Judas as a shadower, but despite not a follower. Same thing with Gehazi. Chased them away as a shadower and Jesus not left a follower. Judas now there. He was the treasurer. Elisha and Jesus. He said, he that knew that these men were shadowers. Now that tells me that every time they sit, they didn't chase them. It will sit next Jesus to Jesus, and they will be eating from the same plate with Jesus. Fact, and that's the same person that will betray Jesus in the same plate with me. And the young tells me that every time they sit, that's a serious matter for me. It's a risk. And why was he doing that? Look, it's simply because he felt somehow this man might be rescued. Unfortunately, it was not so. So, as believers, as leaders, we must come to know that right from the very day we said to the Lord, I am ready to do your will, that day we died. That day we died. One day I was to go and preach in Zaria. That's so many experiences. And revelations I was saying were not looking good at all. Even my mother of blessed memory came and told me that this is your journey. It appears is dangerous. And I said, I know. And I called the brethren that were the brother that will be going with me. And I said, the signals coming are not looking well. And then we went somewhere, we just sat down and we prayed. And we traveled. We look at ourselves and say we are soldiers. We can't be afraid. Of course, it was God that spared our lives. We'll have run into the armed robbers' hands and they will have wasted our lives. But God spared us. As I was coming here on Sunday, we had accidents 2 times within a space of 5 minutes. And God spared us. I just woke up in the morning and God said, go and lie down there and be praying. And I said, Lord, I'm going to preach in Lagos. He said, go and lie down. And I obeyed. And I was just lying down there. I was praying. And I'll be looking at my wristwatch. I said, Lord, after 7, the service started at 9. Not Ibadan, Lagos. Lagos. I'm in my house after 7. Lying down on the floor. But I've learned to obey. And I told the brethren as we were coming, I said, I don't know. God told me I should go and lie down. And I just went. Said to I don't know. And then we kept coming. And eventually we had troubles on the road. But God delivered us. Okay? Now, we will not, because of that, stop preaching. There was a day I went to preach in Shagamu, and then there was a terrible accident with my car. Oh, it was badly battered. I ought to leave Shagamu and go to Lautech to preach. So I called a brother. Can you please go to Lautech and take the meeting? It should be today or tomorrow. And tell them I'm coming tomorrow. Excuse me. And I was afraid to tell my wife that I have come home with a car completely battered. And then I will go again the following morning traveling. I summoned Corinne. I told her, I said, my dear, I will still have to travel to Lautech tomorrow. He said, I have released you to God. You can go. And I went. I've been attacked by armed robbers as I traveled. And yet, we would not stop traveling. 2, 3 months or 4 months ago, we were going to Benin. And in front of me like this were kidnappers kidnapping people. I just pulled the car. I just stopped. Because I was seeing people on the hill and a car at the middle of the road. I just stopped. And if you are very familiar with that road, once a car stops, you also must stop if you are wise. Once they saw me stop, everybody stopped. They said, what happened? I said, I don't know, but I'm just wondering what are those people doing at the middle of the road. And so we waited until police came, and then they moved. We got there, it was kidnapper. Now, I have gone back through that road to Onitsha after that time. I have gone back to Benin, Saxon Benin, after that incident. It's risk. So we stretch ourselves. Paul said, look, if it is possible, I want to remove my eyes. If it is possible, I want to be cursed so that I may save some. I am jealous because of my people. Sometimes I say, woe is me if I preach not the gospel. That's what we are talking about. We become everything and anything just because we want to gain the little that we could gain. Let's go beyond what we think is our normal capacity to save people. And the Lord himself. Some of us will have been doing something better. Permit me, quote. and unquote, somewhere else, if not for ministry. Am I making sense? Some of us could have been manager of banks, some of us could have been director somewhere. It's a risk. We jettison all of that to be here. It's a risk. We can't stop taking it. Sometimes my children will be the last to pay their school fees. And there's somebody else's school fees that have been paid by me. There's somebody else's house rent paid by me. And yet my own children have not paid theirs. It's the work that God has called us into, and we have to do it. The Lord will help us. Now, difficult members, I wish I could. Do you have the message? The difference between following and shadowing, but it's a lot of messages. I would have said, lay your hand upon it and listen to it. It's also on YouTube. I will see if I can send the outline to Reverend Bimbo Gundari, and then he can share it, with you. But I like to say to you that there are difficult animals in the flock. Difficult. Part of feeding is discipline. I told my wife, a pastor does not fight members, he disciplines members. Pastor Ibomo Ijoja, Ibomo Ijo Winnie. When you start to fight a member of the church, it means you have lost your spiritual authority. You don't fight a member of the church, you discipline them. Now, if you have not gained such spiritual authority to discipline, leave it. Keep growing. When you grow to that point, and you yourself, you will know that now you have authority. At that point, in fact, at that point, bow, because he will have seen something in you that say, Kai, this man, I think it's a risk for me to be insulting him. I think I'm risking something terrible for insulting this servant of God. He will back down. That's how to handle. Don't fight them. Don't bring yourself to their level at all. Don't dignify them with an answer, even when they say things untoward about you. Don't. Just hear it and just continue. And just continue. If as a shepherd you are going and one of the sheep poo on your body, will you kill that sheep for it? No. You may smite and just ignore. Just say, it's an animal. And I want to say to you, I told the brethren one day in my house, there's this discipleship class I run in my house. And I told them that when Jesus Christ said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they are doing. You will think it was a statement of simplicity, that Jesus was just decided to be simple. And in my heart, I felt those people knew. They knew because when Pilate took water and washed his hand, he said, I want to be free from the blood of this righteous man. They said, let his blood be upon us. Let it be upon our children. Now, how would Jesus tell me that they didn't know? They knew. However, you only need to hear what they said. When Peter and John were questioned, by what power, by what authority have you done this? And then they began to talk. And then they started to talk about Jesus, whom they crucified. They said, do you want to bring the blood of that man upon us? I said, excuse me. Well, you know the same people that said his blood should be upon you and should be upon your children. So I agree that they didn't know. They didn't know the implication of what they said. So let's forgive them. Those difficult members, they didn't know. They don't know what they are doing. Let's forgive them. And let's move on with the work in our hand. Now, what is feasting on the sheep is to use the people to enjoy yourself. Is to take advantage of the people for yourself. Many years ago, permits me because I'm bringing illustration for myself, which I want to, but just for servants of God, I wanted to come for my vacation in Lagos, just 1 week, and I had to come with my wife and our daughter. She was very small then, maybe about 2 years. You know, she's a graduate now. And so I borrowed a car from one of the brothers. And he had a Jetta and a Beetle. And he borrowed me the Jetta. So I came to Lagos. And after 1 week, I returned to Ibadan. And I returned his car. And he said, no, God has given me a car. He returned it to me. Now, by that statement, God has given me a car, should mean that that car is my own. Abi? But I didn't take it that way. I didn't take it that way. So every year, I will return the car to him. And then he will return it. I keep renewing the particulars of the car in his name. I didn't change it to my name. Sometimes I have problem with police because the driver license and the name on the driver license and the name of the particulars are not the same. And I traverse the entire nation with that Jetta. So sometimes I have problem. But because of that problem, I didn't change the ownership of the car to mine. And I used that car for about 6 or 7 years. So when eventually God had mercy on me and sent us a car, I took that car back to the panel beater, did it well, painted it, and I returned it. And I said, righteousness demand that I should return it. I started with borrow me. I didn't say give me. Now I could take advantage of that person and just make the car my own. I don't know if I'm making sense to you. All right. We have a grinding machine in the welfare department of the ministry, and the welfare people felt that we only use this grinding machine during retreats and it could get spoiled. So they asked my wife to take it and be using it. And because we have dogs at home and we prepare their meal, so my wife needed a grinding machine of that size to grind the food of the feed of the dogs. And I told her, I said, no, that grinding machine belonged to the ministry and not to Shegun Ario. And so we returned it. I insisted that she can't. The dogs are our dog, not the ministries. If we want grinding machine, we will buy and use. I don't want to feast on the people. And sometimes it could be me that bought the equipment. Once it is given to the Lord, it has become the church. And it cannot be mine anymore. So as leaders, we don't take advantage. One of the daughter that lived with me got married 2 Saturdays ago. And then the husband approached me. Can we use the camera of the ministry? And I said, well, if you are going to go and buy memory card, if you buy memory card and give it to them, they can use the camera and give you the memory card. But that they will record for you and put your wedding in our system. I said, no. But she's my daughter. She lives in my house. I am the leader of the ministry. So what stops me from saying, every camera, Gary, every memory card? I said, no. You go and buy. And that's what he did. He bought memory card. And then they helped him to record. And they gave it back to him. It's okay. I won't take advantage. Joseph told the wife of Potiphar, I know my boundary. Everything in this house is in my hand. But you are not in my hand. The food my God they eat is not in my hand. So I know my boundary. And I will not step outside my boundary. I think that is what it means. When we take undue advantage of the trust that people have in us, and we use it to the fullest, we are feasting on them. And you know, Nigerians, if they give us a yard, we take a bundle. For us, we must not do so. If they take you a yard, give you a yard, take a little. One brother 1 year felt I should go and rest, and his sponsor got me visa, bought me ticket, paid the hotel in South Africa. The hotel is in Sandton. Anybody who knows Sandton in South Africa is the most expensive place where the rich stays. And when I was going, he gave me about maybe $900 or $1,000. You know, the hotel is paid, everything paid. The vehicle that took me from the hotel, from the airport, and take me back, everything paid for. So when I returned, I came back with about, is it $700 or so? So I gave it back to him. He said, what is this? I said, the money you gave me, that's the change that remained. He said, it's for you. I said, I was not brought up like that. Now, if you give me $1,000 for a journey of less than 10 days, and I spend the whole $1,000, yes, he will say it's his own, but something will register in his mind that this man is Wobia. He won't say it all, but it will have registered somewhere in the corner of his heart. In your come, he will say it. So that's how I give. I have been watching that man. He's a greedy man. The ministry is ridiculed, is blemished. So we must be very disciplined. We must refrain ourselves, and the Lord will help us. Yes, time management, quiet time. I know it's a challenge, especially for those of us who are living in this part of Nigeria, Lagos. Then take along with what Daddy said. If you don't bring up your wife with you, she will bring you down. It cannot be true. That's the truth. However, I look at the scriptures, I look at Jesus, and I draw lessons from him. One, for those of us who are married, thank God. For those of us who are not married, is there anybody who is not married among us? Oh, yes. Congratulations. Now, you don't have to marry a person who is not a child of God. You don't have to. Now, when we got married, for instance, we had delay in having children we waited for about 7 years or so. But I remember that my wife have a quiet time, I also have my quiet time, because we're grown Christians. Jesus was in the house of Peter, and early in the morning, he went to the solitary place to pray alone. So I asked, what about family altar? So I realized that for Jesus, personal altar was first, and is much more critical than the family altar. So when the children started coming, we had a problem. The problem of incorporating them into this family and having altar together. So as the leader, just like you said, sir, if you are going to be the head, you must be a head. So as the leader of the family, I am the first man to wake up in our house. I am the first man to wake up. I set my alarm permanently at 4 a.m. until I didn't need alarm again to wake up at 4 a.m. My body system is wired to wake up 4 a.m. every day. And so I will have had my quiet time to a point, and then we can have the family altar. Now, at a point when the children were going to school, we have to readjust it. So we have family altar on weekends and during holidays. So Monday to Friday, the children will be having their quiet time. I'll be having my quiet time. My wife will be having their quiet time. And on weekend, we come together as family. But every night we pray together. We have altar together. Every night. I don't know whether you understand. But in the mornings, I will have my quiet time. They will have their quiet time. My wife will have her quiet time. During holiday, we have family altar every day. So as to make deliberate input into their life. But we have taught them how to have their quiet time. So that without me, so occasionally when I call them in school, did you have a quiet time today? They say, yes. Where did you read? He tells me. So what did God tell you? And he shares with me. I read their notes too. I taught them to write notes from their quiet time, which is very critical. Every correct meeting must have minutes of the meeting. Your writing of note is the minute of the meeting you have with God. Now, time. I have come to realize that we are the one that choked ourselves with things that we don't need. I know, as a pastor, everything is on your head. I know. Even me. In fact, yesterday, Yinka was telling me, I think you need to even have break from your phone. Because actually, once I've switched it off now, since I came in, once I am done here and I switch it on, work has started again. Calls, text messages. In fact, I will have deleted WhatsApp from my phone because it's a nuisance. Except for other platforms and other people that are very critical, that I just have to stay. Reluctantly, I stay on WhatsApp. I am not on Facebook. I have an account on Facebook managed by somebody for me. But I'm not on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. But I tweet, but it is as and when I have the time. Now, I realize that this is my primary assignment. And I must be at my best. Tomorrow is Wednesday now. Every Wednesday I have personal retreats. If not because I am in this place, it might be difficult for anybody to reach me on Wednesday. It's our Bible study day too. So I must shut down in the morning, just be in God's presence till evening. And evening I get ready, I go for Bible study, I come back. That must happen every week. And I also fast that day. Every Wednesday I fast. Except if there is a health issue or we just finished a meeting that has sapped me so much and I felt, let me take a break. Otherwise, I must fast on Wednesdays. I must have my personal retreat on Wednesday, except if I'm traveling to the north or far to the east and I have to go on Wednesday, or like I'll be here tomorrow now. But once I finish here and I will tell the women giving me food, don't bring food tomorrow morning because I will also be fasting. It's my personal retreat day. Despite that I'm not at home, will not stop me from observing it. I don't know if I'm making sense. So if we reduce the time we spend on social media, if we reduce the time we spend on TV, there is TV in the sitting room attached to my room where I'm staying now. Even if it's an hotel and I spend 1 month in that hotel, I will not switch on that TV for once throughout my stay because I don't need it. There's nothing I'm going to gain there. It will only distract me. So I cut off things that are not necessary for me to have time for what is necessary. So if we sit down and do an audit, we audit our activities, we audit our work, You may see that you have more time for this, and then you don't have time for other things that are not important. So let's seek a time like that. And it's also, when you eat, it will help your wife. When you write your notes, encourage your wife to also read it. And share thoughts together. Pray together. Travel together. Play together. And then you grow together. Well, our brother felt that lamb and sheep are the same. But if you read lamb in Yoruba Bible, you will find Odo Agutan. You have seen that. And if you read sheep, you will find Agutan. Odo Agutan at Agutan. Yes. Ikan baba. Now, it doesn't have fleece that you can get. For a little sheep that is called lamb, cannot give you milk that you can take or sell. In fact, the meat, if you kill it to eat, the meat is not even good. Because is that all right? Then it cannot reproduce for you. So to take care of lamb requires a lot of love for Jesus. Because before the lamb will start to yield, will start to give back to you, it will take a longer time than point of lay. Does it make sense, sir? So that's the difference between lamb and sheep. All right. Now, the issue of how do we balance laziness, taking rest, so that there will be no burnout and all of that. Yes. It boils down to the issue of time management. If we manage our time very well, we'll have... Now, we don't have too many things to do in life. I have come to know that I am to be a preacher of the gospel. All right. So, if you see anybody who is my friend, he is a man who is traveling the same direction I am going. If you see me in any meeting, that I've gone to attend a meeting, that must be a meeting that is relevant to where I am going. Anything that is not relevant to this can't have a space on my schedule. So, it gives me space. As I finish here now, I have incorporated rest into my timetable now. So between now and the evening meeting, I will sleep. And I will switch off my phone. If you are calling me, you will not get... They didn't write it there that every time you call me, you must get me. So let's do that. Money cry, quiet time, striking a balance. Yes. If you must do money cry, and your money cry starts maybe around 6 or 5:30, then you must also be an early riser, so that you have taken your quiet time earlier before you go for your money cry, or you alternate it. Because if you have not stood before God to go and stand before men, it won't be long when you will start falling before men. Don't joke with your quiet time. I'm far to arrive where I'm going late. And they say, this man comes here late. Why did you come here? Aren't you a servant of God? I prefer people to say that to me than for God to declare me wanted in heaven. I don't joke with it. So you can't talk me out of it. Today I've had my quiet time. The only thing I've not had time to do was to write my notes, and I have 2 notes I'm going to write from the quiet time I had today. 2 notes. I've not had time to write it. By the time they came knocking on my door this morning, I was still praying. I didn't come out until after 9. And this meeting is going to start at 10. Am I thinking well? Yes. It's because, look, it won't be long when people start to know that this man is getting dry. I have a tape in my car, 31-year-old tape from a ministers' conference in Ayobo. First time I will sit under Pastor Kumuyi, he talked about keeping ministers' life fresh. I have listened to that message, I don't know how many times, hundreds of times. And I am trying to walk in that. So I know that a servant of God could be fresh every day, could have utterance every day. His message could be strong every time he preaches. When you follow such instructions. So don't let us joke with it. Idi iṣẹ́ ẹni láti money lọ́lẹ̀ ò kì í ṣe ìdí Arsenal àti Man United. I don't have time for it. He said, which club do you belong? I said, I don't have any club. I don't even have time to watch football. I don't have time. That's only one thing I do, and that's what I'm doing now. Yes, God overruling message that we prepare. Is it because the man of God did not attend council meeting? It could be, but not necessarily that's the reason. God is sovereign. Is our God. It is his prerogative to tell us to do anything. Excuse me. God could tell you, take this place, write this. This is what I want to speak about. It is my duty to prepare it. And if I come to this pit and God says, no, take this direction. What God is looking for is not that message, but my obedience. What will make that message to work is my obedience. So I must follow the direction. Every day, this morning, if I bring out, I don't know how to pray. Small boys like me, I will write my prayer point. Not like the one they send on WhatsApp. But when I read the scripture, issues that are jumping out of the scriptures, I write them down as prayer points. So I have what I call prayer diary. And part of my prayer point is, what do you want to say to your people at the ministers' assembly today? The second question, what do you want to say to your people in the evening? I ask that question every time I am going to preach. Because he must be the one to speak. I was taught to write sermon notes. But by experience, by relationship, I've come to know that I shouldn't bother myself writing notes to preach. I have notes. When God speaks to me about this meeting, I write. It's there. But I will not bring it to this place because God has prerogative to take direction that he wants. So I just give him that liberty to move the way he likes. So I want to say to you that listen to God. Whatever he tells you to do, please do it. And the same thing goes for what Reverend Ogudari said at the middle of the message. In fact, I remember, I don't want to talk about Brogbile, but he first mentioned Brogbile. So let me mention Brogbile also. Years back, he said, in the ministers' conference, he said, when you are preaching as a minister, what you should look for is the arrowhead of the message. That once you get and if you listen to him very well, if you have listened to Brogbile very well, you will know you could just start and he'll be moving like this as if he doesn't know where he's going. He'll be moving like this. And by the time he lays his hand on what is the arrowhead of that message, that is where he will stay. And he will be hitting that continuously until it gets to the heart of the people. So I think as experienced preacher, we must do that as well. So when you are preaching, you are waiting to know what is the arrowhead of that message. Once you get it, don't jump out of it, just stay there. As I was reading the Bible yesterday, it just occurred to me that labor not for the meat that perisheth was the arrowhead. So I stayed there. I didn't even move to the next verse. I don't know if I made sense to you at all. All right. Thank you very much.
Praise the Lord. Please, I would like us to pray together briefly before we close this.